The group stage was one of our most difficult tasks, and talking about all the majors we ever played. This group stage had us, Fnatic, FaZe, and G2. For me, every single team on this group would deserve to be in the playoffs.
We are playing SK Gaming in the quarterfinal. We were bootcamping with SK actually. We played like 6 maps, so basically they prepared us for this major.
And I'm super satisfied with our performance. I think we played super well both matches, mainly the second one. We really played super well to get out and get lanes again.
I think SK is one of the best teams in the world, and it's very hard to win against them.
So looking forward for the quarterfinals. The arena here is going to be awesome. They are actually preparing right now, so when it gets ready, I think it's going to be crazy. I heard more than 14,000 people are coming.
As I said, it was my dream to play on the stage, to see the crowd, to hear the crowd, to feel the support of the crowd. I'm looking forward to play on the stage and show my best.
You can say that's a child dream to be playing Counter-Strike like this. I've been playing since I was 12, so for me it's actually a dream coming true, believing everything like this.
Our second quarterfinal already. One game done and dusted. It was by no means a walk in the park for Virtus.Pro, and of course the caster of that is now joining us on the desk, Lauren Pansy-Scott, alongside YNK and Thorin. Now we have to talk a little bit about this one. It's weird, you might think, to see Flipside in position, of course, instead of NIP. They had a battle over a best of 3, and we will be talking more and more about how this surprise, this upset, and described as by some as one of the bigger upsets of this game's history. And of course, when we talk about history, who else but Thorin to start with? Do you agree with a sentiment like Flipside into the quarterfinals over the Ninjas in Pajamas in the form that they were in ahead of this major? Do you agree with that statement?
I think it's certainly in major history, it's probably the biggest in CSGO, because this is a team where, like I said, I would have ranked Flipside as one of the least likely to even get out of the group stage. I thought they would probably come 4th place, actually, believe it or not, in their group. They made it out, and it's not like they just beat NIP on one map, you know, a good map for them, and they beat them in just a best of 1. No, they beat them in a best of 3, and they won cash, which is actually like a map that most world-class teams ban against NIP. Now, what's interesting is, if you want to talk about all-time great upsets in the history of Counter-Strike, actually Blade was the in-game leader of a Ukrainian team with Starix back in 2007. They were at a major, it was the World Cyber Games, and they got to the semi-finals of that major, also on the back of some huge upsets. They actually beat Lurpus's team, the Finnish team at the time. He was one of the best in the world. So, I mean, we're talking about a guy who 9 years ago was making it to the semi-finals of a major, and he's hoping to do it again today, but he's going to have to do it in the same fashion. It's going to have to be some world-beating upset if he's going to do so.
I mean, that is the question, right? World-class team. Would you describe them as the best team in the world currently, Yenko, going up against a team that we didn't even expect to make it out of groups?
Yeah, definitely. I think this is the biggest mismatch we have in the quarterfinals, even though there are a couple of David and Goliath stories. The fact that SK is just such a well-rounded team, have great foundations, but also have some amazing individual players on their team as well. And we got to hear from Fer beforehand of his journey and the politics surrounding them, Lauren. SK clear favourites in this one, but I mean, if you think about that Flipside NIP game, you can't help but find some strengths in their roster.
Yeah, I had obviously the pleasure to cast that game, but for me, the one thing I would say is for Flipside, they had everything in their arsenal working at the right time. You had that tactical element on Cash becoming a massive factor, the fact that they did have the anti-strat element that worked out perfectly, and they had the firepower. Normally, they don't combine. So again, those factors coming at the same time, I think may have made that look a little bit better than it should have been. And you look back to their earlier games, it wasn't such a pretty picture.
Yeah, and actually the Cash is an interesting discussion topic. I know I don't want to linger too much on this NIP success from Flipside, but just looking at social media afterwards, Markelov put out a statement saying, we don't know what happened on Cash. We didn't actually do too much in our boot camp. We didn't discuss it in our boot camp. But is he playing mind games there? Was there evidence that there was work put in?
No, because the thing is, Cash was the map you actually expected NIP to win.
Right.
It was actually a shock that the Flipside guys, when they lost their own map narrowly, I thought, okay, this is a 2-0 actually, probably done. They were probably themselves banking, we've got to get that map to get to the 3rd. So I think that, for me, that was just miraculous. Like, believe it or not, individual players outplaying NIP players. And you have to look, it's true, some of the NIP stars struggled a bit. They weren't able to deliver that performance. Meanwhile, I've been waiting all these years to see Will Daddy actually perform, but against a tier 1 team. Normally, he does it at an offline qualifier or a tier 2 event, or he has one map, and you think, wow, this guy, if he could ever get it together. Well, this time for the whole series, he was absolutely phenomenal, and he was the best player in the series. So if they can have the best player in the series, that's another factor you can put along with the preparation and the system and the routine. It's just that, unfortunately, it's harder to see that happening today.
Lauren, same kind of sentiment from you?
It echoes perfectly what Thorin said, at least in my eyes, that you look at where Waylander was, he was outdoing Pit every time, every A hit was completely trashed, specifically on Cash. You saw Get Right having no success. But then I look at SK as a different opponent. I don't see them crumbling against these players individually. It'd have to take a monstrous performance of caliber that we very rarely see to even get close to that, at least in my eyes.
And while we are saying world champions, best team in the world, Janko, it makes sense to tell the audience at home why we are claiming this. Yes, they hold the title, but I mean, are we talking about a team that has strengths both tactically and individually? Is that how we're going to describe them?
I mean, definitely, you will see them most of the times. They start playing as sort of a Fnatic lineup does, right? With a more loose play style, letting their players have a lot of freedom. And then only if that gets shut down, if their opponents force them to switch things up, then they have a lot of strategy, a lot of tactics that they can fall back on to make life easier for themselves.
So would we use the word one of the teams with the most depth? Is that a nice way to describe SK, Duncan? Do you think that's
I think they certainly have come along that way. Like, I think, for example, if you're going to look at a team like Fnatic, it's hard to say that Taco individually is as good as even whoever you think the worst is on Fnatic. I mean, take your pick there, they're so good. But I certainly think they've got a lot of skill. Like, that's the part that as they became better and better as a team, we saw other people shine. So we always knew back in the day Flo was a very skilled player, a very aggressive player, and he had to basically go off for them to win in the past. But then they got in this guy called Zero, and this guy was very consistent, a really all-around player. And then the key detail between the transition between the two stars was suddenly Fallen picked up the AWP again, and actually now has probably become the best AWPer in the world. So those three players there, certainly skill-wise, can go with anyone. FNX has got the playing style to be incredibly effective, and Taco, to me, he facilitates the greatness of the others. Like, he's going to make them, put them in position, create space for them, allow them to get easier duels, and then when you're doing that kind of machine, then the entire thing's going to wreck the opponent. The big problem I see in this match, though, for Flipside, is that when I watched the NIP game, I'm like, great preparation, like they obviously had a set plan as to how to counter the NIP playing style. It's just that NiP had a very one-dimensional style, and it was very good, but it all relied on everyone doing this one style and it being effective. The problem is, what's so great about Fallen's system in the SK gaming lineup is, it's sort of like he's taken this philosophy and it sort of got everyone to buy in individually, so that even when they are in like a three-man unit and he's dead and they're just playing by themselves, it's like they understand what to do from those situations. So that's the thing. It's not so much you can counter that one style. So I feel like actually they've probably got the best style to go up against Flipside and make it very, very tough for the Ukrainian side.
Now, Janko, their rise to this throne has been rather swift. I mean, people kind of may forget just how quickly this has all come about. They went, from humble beginnings to major grand finals to now walking through their group stages here at ESL 1 Cologne. Can you just maybe give us some of the specifics as to why, we were started with Kaboom and ended with SK?
I mean, it took time for them to find the right lineup as well. They had different problems when they were at Katowice last year. They had ZQK as their primary AWPer. Fallen wasn't even open, and now we regard them as one of the best, maybe even the best AWPer in the world. So they had to switch things up to get that philosophy going that Duncan was referencing. They had a different playing style. Fallen wasn't the in-game leader all the time in that lineup, and finally when they got in Taco and FNX, that seems to have really, settled the roles as well. Everyone was on the same page of how they're supposed to play, and Taco is actually the guy, who takes the brunt of the hit from the community as well. But when we talked about Zipix as well, being the first guy in, the one that's going to create the space, and his stats are always going to take a hit, but as long as his team is winning, that's all that matters. And
we're meeting his team in just a moment. But first, it is my great pleasure to introduce to the Lanxess stage none other than Flipside Tactics, fresh off of the victory against the Ninjas in Pajamas.
Making their first appearance in the playoffs of a major, please welcome to the stage, Flipside Tactics!
Flipside Tactics making the walk, Blade at the front, spearheading their assault. Now we need to talk a little bit as to how often they've seen audiences, crowds staged like this, Duncan.
Basically never. I mean, like I said, okay, if you really go back in time, you can take Blade, you can take Marco and say, yeah, they've obviously played on the biggest stages at the majors, but that was really CS 1.6. When the major era came around, even Marco, he was kind of at the tail end of that, you know. He wasn't the guy who was in a position to win tournaments anymore.
And of course, alongside them is none other than SK, the Brazilians that we've been making so much noise about, and they make equal as much noise, just the 5 of them. Let's take a look at SK.
The reigning world champions, coming all the way from Brazil. Give it up for SK Gaming.
The defending world champions do meet the Lanxess Arena. They walk through the group stages and now they approach ever closer to the semi-finals. Standing in their way is Flipside Tactics, and it's always smiles with Fallen and the boys. Lauren, these are names and faces that you'll grow to know quite quickly if you're a CSGO fan.
Certainly, they had an incredibly tough group. Already came out of that looking flawless, barely looking scathed by some of the better opponents in this tournament.
And now we'll be seeing a little bit of what they have to say ahead of this truly testing best of 3 as they're hanging out with Red Eye on stage.
Yes, thank you very much. We'll get a few quick words. I just want to talk to you, sir. First quarterfinals for your team and your players. You've got someone in your team that's already played in these, so the experience is going to count a lot. Are the nerves showing right now, or are you just looking forward to the match?
Well, no nerves at all, but it means a lot to us to be here, to stay here. 1 year, we almost get it here, and now we're on the stage, on the big stage, and it's a huge honor for us.
Anything to say to the fans?
Cheer for us. We love you, man.
Okay, good luck. Fallen, we watched the video just before we came on. It's an incredible journey that you guys have had, and sleeping on floors and no money and not enough to eat. Just explain to us, what is it like to be able to come out as the champions of the world and walk onto a stage in front of a huge audience like this?
Hello, this is a dream coming true for us. We have been working so hard to get here and been playing on a stadium like this on Arena, as this one is a dream for us.
Final words for fans?
Hello, Cologne!
All right.
Wie geht's? Wunderbar!
Some German as well from SK Gaming. Well done. SK versus Flipside, ladies and gentlemen. Good luck.
Oh man, there's some pandering. I know pandering when I see it. They've been practicing, they've got their German phrase books out for this quarterfinal. Flipside versus SK. And we have described it as a mismatch, there's no doubt about it, but now we get to venture into, well, both the map pool, a couple of the individual names that didn't get attention, and one of which was screamed about on social media after their performance in the group stages, was Flipside's Waylander. Janko, this is a name that's, would you say, new to the scene? I mean, we've seen him around for a while. He cropped up in Katowice not too long ago.
Yeah, he appeared firstly with the Peter team in the Katowice qualifier for the last year's major, and he had a pretty good performance there. Then after some time, he kind of disappeared. I think he had some army commitments, something like that. Then he came back with the Gambit team again, and he has had good performances, but it was only yesterday with NIP when it mattered the most that he showed up. But I think it was across the board for the team. That wasn't one player carrying the weight. I think it was a team effort.
Probably a positive sign from Flipside, not to just have one man dragging them kicking and screaming to the stage. Lauren, Flipside SK, it's kind of crazy.
It's absolutely insane, and the one thing I would say is we actually haven't seen that much depth from SK yet in the form of map pool. We've seen 2 couple games, essentially. They got through the groups unscathed, so they had the 2 clean games in best of 1s. I'm actually very excited to see how they play into Flipside in a best of 3 instance now.
And we'll be talking about maps now, Duncan. Can you set the scene? It is going on. We'll have the graphic up in just a moment. But, I mean, we talk about depth. They haven't had their map pool tested. Do you agree with that?
Well, the whole point is they played their 4th best map against 2 of the best teams in the world and won anyway in like a pretty comfortable fashion. So if anything, I think that shows they've got a crazy map pool so that the other people don't want to venture into it, you know. So Flipside, that's one thing they're not going to be scared of, because actually Flipside have the exact same 4 best maps as the guys from SK Gaming do. Now, in the past, that's worked against Flipside, and it's worked for them against another team that they have a shared map pool, which is Na'Vi. So they've gotten wins over Na'Vi on Na'Vi maps. They've also been destroyed by Na'Vi on Na'Vi maps. So the thing about Flipside is, I know they love that preparation approach, and they love to know what map they're going to play. So I don't think they're going to throw a curveball. I don't think you're going to see them go for a nuke. I don't think you're going to see them try and pull out something crazy, like go to Dust 2 or something. I think they're just going to stick on those 4 maps, and we're probably just going to get a series of something like, Overpass, Train. These are the sorts of maps that they're going to be willing to play, even though you ask me who's the best team in the world on those maps, I'll go ahead and tell you SK Gaming.
And it does feel like the same old story for Flipside, is that they have similar map pools to the best teams in the world.
Yep.
They're just like a poorer version of it.
Well, it's because a lot of these teams right now, especially the current meta, if you think about Na'Vi and SK Gaming, these are very tactical teams who use the map control approach, where you're basing your T-side around you set up, you're going to make good, intelligent reads of the in-game leader. You want T-sided maps as a result, you want Cobblestone, you want Train in there. So they kind of emulate what the elite level teams do in that sense. Their problem obviously is, it's one thing to have that, you've also got to have the players to be able to execute it. And as you see here, we've ended up on Train in the end, because Cash ban from SK Gaming, it's already their auto ban, but you've got to add in, when you saw NIP lose on Cash, you're not going to allow that through anyway. Dust 2 actually helps SK as well. They don't particularly want that map. That used to be their old permaban, but it's also the map that Flipside won out of there. SK Gaming picks Mirage. Now, I actually think on Mirage, they're the best team in the world. Like, they set the stage by coming to the international scene on this map. They still retain a lot of power on it, but it's a map that Flipside have always played throughout all their different lineups. Now, I will say this nuke pick, which goes completely counter to what I thought in terms of philosophy coming into this, maybe this is the approach here. For their pick, they've gone with something that I had no idea we'd see from them, because they played nuke once, and they lost to Echo Fox. Now, everyone was like, who is Echo Fox? Don't worry about that. That's the point. So they've only played it once, but this is the thing. This must be a curveball. I have to figure they've gone away.
And that's my question.
They've tried to figure something out on this map, and they thought, you know what? Let's make it so they're going to pick a map we want to play, and we're going to play something crazy, and we're going to try to do something no one's ever seen before.
I mean, we talked about this before, didn't we, Yanko, Pansy? We said, like, nuke is surely going to crop up at the major. People could have been doing their homework in secret. Do you think this is what's happening, or a Flipside just kind of backed into a corner here, Yanko?
I think that's the case. I feel that it's kind of a cheese strategy. They feel that they need to go for something gimmicky in order to have a chance and maybe surprise SK, but I honestly don't think it's going to work for them. I think that SK is more than prepared to play nuke at this tournament.
And I still have to follow on the fact that SK still have the fundamentals down that are just so damn good right now. You have in the openers provided by Fur, you've had that double AWPing presence that's been paying off and then some. I think it still applies very well to nuke. Even if it is a curveball, you have to overcome that individual factor, which I don't know if Flipside can do at this point. Bear in mind, previously they had everything going correctly. I don't know if that's going to come through in this game.
We should just turn our attention to the first map then.
Mirage?
Mirage. Thank you. Thank you very much. Excuse me. I don't have a pen. Penless makes it very difficult. Yeah, can you?
No.
Okay. Not feeling confident about that one. Okay.
Girls and throwing, joke to be made.
But I'm not going to make it. Fortunately, though, we are going to be talking now about this map. We have an opportunity just to quickly discuss where our predictions will lie. We'll be doing that after we hear from the casters. But just in terms of this map, you've said already your thoughts, Duncan. Mirage, they kind of created the strat book for Mirage. And so, Yanko, I'll actually start with you. Flipside tactics, they are pretty kind of commonplace on Mirage. We saw it at E-League. We know that they're capable. It's not beating SK capable, though.
I mean, they have a pretty clear way of how they like to play the map. The problem is how Luminos SK likes to play their city side, right? They like to be super aggressive, especially for plays close up to that A apartments area, and I think that's going to be the biggest problem for Flipside. The times when they have problems on their T side is when the cities are really aggressive and they're trying to disrupt them and they can't get some map control, they can't get into those set executes that they like to do so late into the round.
A spanner in the works, almost.
Exactly.
Right, we'll be doing predictions in just a moment, but first we're going to be hearing from two faces you'll be hearing a whole lot more from in this best of three. It's James Bardoff and DDK to let us know their thoughts with the veto.
Dan.
Thanks, Alex. We're down here in the bowl floor. Dan, what are your thoughts on the coming match? Do you have a favorite here?
Well, it obviously has to be SK. I mean, how can we ever expect Flipside to do well? But that said, how can we expect Gambit to even get this far as well? So who knows?
Yeah, I think Flipside, again, they've made it to Legends now. They have nothing to lose, so they can play out of their skin. SK, though, have to be a favorite going in. You know, they are the reigning defending champions. We will find out if they can do it after a short break. We'll see you back here shortly.
Flipside SK. Map 1 will be Mirage. Best of 3 here for the quarterfinals. The second of the day here at ESL 1 Cologne. Lanxess Arena is lit up, and it will be lighting up with some Counter-Strike in just a moment. But first I'm going to be picking the brains of the people to my left about this first map. Mirage, we were starting a discussion, Janko, about what Flipside, you said they have a very clear game plan on Mirage. Could you shed some light on exactly what this game plan is? If you know it, chances are SK do too.
I mean, they're a very methodical team on their T side, similar to how Navi likes to play the map. They like to play from the default play style, spreading around the map, trying to get mid control most of the times, and then you have a couple of exit strategies that they're called. Once you have that mid control, you have maybe a player inside connector or inside ladder room. That's when you can go maybe for a three-pronged attack towards the A bomb side. That's really hard to defend if you don't react to it somehow. And I think that you're right. I mean, this is something that's pretty known, so I'm expecting SK to have something prepared to counter Flipside.
Something up the sleeves of their new SK Gaming shirts. Lauren?
Yeah, and just to follow on from that, I think that in the NIP game, for example, people like Waylander on the lurk, they like that kind of 1-3-1 on the T side, just kind of spreading out. He had incredible success playing through A, catching out multiple people, always around the back of them, and you had Markov doing the same at B. It was actually incredibly pressured, but as said, SK do their homework. They're going to know this. I don't see it working out again.
Maybe, I mean, we saw them pick Nuke, so maybe they have a, maybe they will switch things up on their in-game stuff as well, right? Maybe they're going to pick up the pace, so to speak, because that's something that I don't think SK would expect right now.
Duncan, this constant, this comparison, Navi Flipside, you've done the same as well before. It is all about this slow, methodical T side.
Sure.
Are Flipside capable of turning it around? No, Navi have recently made that move.
I don't buy it. Like, here's the thing. One of the good things and the bad things about Flipside is that I think they are going to play from that approach. Because the thing is, it's Blade's philosophy with his personnel. This is the best way to play. And I know in-game leaders, one of the things that's really good about them, why they're always working to improve, why they don't get discouraged, is they always think to themselves, oh, it doesn't matter what players are on my team or if we do this right, if we execute this right, we get that smoke that traps this guy off, and you flash this guy here, obviously you can kill any opponent if he's flashbang. They think if you get everything right, if we execute correctly, you can win the round. Now, against many teams, you might have a point there. The problem is when you play the world's best teams, because they have such fantastic individual players, they always have a little something extra where that's not always the case. Sometimes, no matter how great the brain is, unless you have the brawns to kind of deliver upon it, you won't be able to win. So the problem I have in this particular map is that Flipside really are like Navi Junior. Like, they've got the strong AWPer that you need to deliver on the team. They've got the slow, methodical playing style from the in-game leader. They've got that explosive rifler who you need to show up as well. Like, Waylander could be like the flamey of the team. You've got the old veterans like Markov playing the supportive role that used to be star players like Edward, Seized, etc. So I can see a lot of parallels, and obviously Navi is a team that match up well against SK. The problem is, I remember the final of the last major, and I remember when SK Gaming, then Luminosity, played against Navi, and even Navi couldn't beat them on Mirage. So if Navi Junior goes up against them, I feel like they'll be sort of holding them away with one hand, and they'll be swinging away, unable to reach them. So I think they'll just play a standard game, and Flipside will just hope their T-side works out, but unfortunately, hopes aren't always enough if you can't strike.
Absolutely as
North
America finds out. We constantly kind of bring up that cash result versus NIP. Is it smart for people, making predictions and thinking about the odds, just completely forget about it, Lauren? Just forget about that, like, what was it, 16-3, 16-4?
Yeah. Go back to the start of this tournament. Let's look beyond that game, because it's so easy to get caught up in that one best of three. Flipside struggled to no end against Navi, who's another giant, similar to SK. You could put them almost in the same tier of kind of, big top teams. Point being, they struggled drastically. The individuals, that firepower was nowhere to be seen. Blade was top fragging. Blade had to do it all, and that's not good enough. So simply going back to their actual consistent form, it's not been that brilliant. They had one big game, and it was an incredibly big game. There's no disputing that. It's great that they did it, but it doesn't dispute the fact they were still struggling prior to that.
Yeah, I mean, listen, as someone who's been in the industry a long time, Alex, I've got to tell you, don't get obsessed with cash. Like, it's already basically ruined Anders' life. It's turned Semler into a tyrant, Listen, this job's very demanding, and you know what? I realize you're here kind of playing the role of the layman, but you've got to be able to understand the game from your heart as well as just the Skrilla, okay? There was a lot in there. There was a lot in there, but there's a lot of Easter eggs.
It was deep. It was like those ESL letters to players. There was a lot of dank memeing in one small paragraph. Now, though, I'm going to try and bring it back on topic. Here I go.
And failing.
Impressive work. We're not going to get hung up on Mirage, because it does seem like it's an open and shut case for SK. We said the same about Cash, but I'm stopping. Okay, forgetting about that. We're being realistic here on the analyst decks. The players are almost ready, by the way, guys. Do not panic. Do not fret. One of my final questions is, guys, let's talk just for a moment about that Nuke pick. Can I get excited about it, please, Janko? Please tell me I can get excited that Nuke has cropped up in the major for the first time.
Of course you can, Alex, because we haven't seen it yet, and seeing it, as most teams use it just to scare their opponents away in the veto, right? More than anything else, the possibility of them playing Nuke. But listen, we have the Nuke we've seen in play so far. It's mostly been standard stuff what we saw in the old version. So if a team comes in and has some pocket strats prepared on it on their T side, you only need a pistol round, 1 or 2 gun rounds. If you can string those together, those are 6-7 rounds for you on the T side. And that's an impressive score to have since it's a CT-sided map. So we never know what teams have prepared on this map.
One of your favorites, isn't it, Lauren?
Well, I love this map personally. I used to love casting it back in Nip's reign. It was one of the most beautiful maps to watch being played out. But I think Janko highlighted something there very, very core to the issue, is that not many people have kind of innovated to the new additions. We haven't seen people completely exploiting the outside that's more drastically open, even more, I guess you could argue, T-bias to agree that you can actually really change it, but the CTs as well have so much power on it. And Dignitas got baited into this during the qualifiers, thinking that was a great choice for them. They got absolutely destroyed by one of the CIS teams there as well. So I'm hoping maybe there's been some practice going into it, and I'd love to see more of this map being exploited in the ways it's been changed, because there's so much variety out there.
So still no innovation on Nuke, or at least not seen publicly. Maybe this major will feature that. Janko, if you were to highlight why it can play differently, what can change? Is it really just come down to that outside area, the accessibility to silo? What is there that's kind of going to be influence this map and changing its playstyle?
I mean, it's definitely easier, and that basically forces the CTs to switch up their play to an extent, right? They have to put more focus on the outside area if they want to fight for it, if they want to defend it. The thing with Nuke is, some other maps have been in play for so long that teams know what to expect on them. There's not much that teams can do nowadays on the classic maps that can take you completely off guard, that you can't find an answer for. The only question is how long is it going to take you to adapt. But on Nuke, people can come up with a strat where, teams aren't expecting. They can run it over and over again without their opponents not having the ability to adjust to it. We saw it with SK on Cobble when they first started playing it. They had a one-way smoke towards the B platform where they could see the area to the right side of the block. And that won them, I think, 2 or 3 ground rounds, because the CTs came pushing towards that area, didn't know about the smoke that was one way. Those small things can bring you a lot of rounds if teams can't adapt to them.
I'm interested to know how long this process takes before the map, falls into the same category as those played to death. I mean, when will we stop seeing this? Because, we haven't even seen it crop up in a major yet, Duncan. We've got a while ahead of us before Nuke becomes commonplace.
I mean, I think step one is when one team figures it out enough that they're picking it regularly. First of all, people either have to ban it against them and then give up a ban. Now, most of the top teams don't want to do that all the time. So a lot of them have their permaban, so then they're going to have to learn the map, and they're probably going to learn the metagame of how that team plays it. Then you've got to add into the mix that in sort of teaching everyone else how to play it by figuring out the most effective style now, that will actually suggest what the counters to that style will be. So then you'll get the other teams that have a different skill set. They'll start to play it a bit more. The problem is, it also depends how good a map it is, because you do see certain maps, they don't always make it into the pool because people just can't adapt to them.
And we'll be talking more about Nuke as it is our second map. For now, though, Mirage, and it does seem clear that the desk favors the Brazilian defending world champions, SK Gaming. Flipside will put up the best fight they can, though, and we'll be seeing how this score does play out. Of course, all updates on this match available on the Score Esports application. For now, though, your casters are ready. DDK and James Baldolf have got this quarter-final. Enjoy this one.
Yeah, we have that corridor. Thanks to you for that machine. And it should be starting shortly. Looks like Flipside are going to be on the CT side, SK on the Ts. Apparently, Shara fell off the stage a little bit earlier. Hopefully, he's okay and back into things and ready.
Yeah, there's a lot of injuries going around at the moment.
Yeah, you never want to do assembler on the stage.
Yeah. I love how that assembler clip actually popped up recently on the front page of Reddit. Like, he can never quite escape that.
Yeah.
That terrible moment in his life.
Where is my dignity and where are my glasses? Well, Flipside have done a lot so far, making it into this point. But again, have to be a underdog going into this one. We saw an old Flipside, a simple Flipside, go for double AWPs on this map a long time ago. Always something that can prove very expensive. They've evolved since then. You have Markelov, he's been picking up the AWP here and there. You have to wonder if that kind of adjustment may be the thing that keeps them competitive in this particular map.
Well, he was definitely doing very well with it in the matches so far this major, so it's very exciting, a new ton of events. But I really feel like with Flipside, this iteration of the team is the iteration that looks the most together and happy with the best camaraderie, because some of the previous iterations, okay, Bondik, obviously it turned out that Bondik and his chemistry with the team wasn't quite there. There was some, fights, and obviously that ended up being the reason why he ended up leaving in the end. Just didn't quite work out in that sense. And then previous to that, you had Simple and Bondic in the same lineup, and obviously there were problems there as well. So it's really cool to see what Flipside can do, considering that yesterday in the matches that they played, they really looked like they were having a lot of fun, which is, I think, very different. Usually I would get a very intense vibe, especially due to the fact that you got Blade, who always looks quite intense. He's quite an intense and very cerebral player.
Yeah, Markelov's been super happy, he just has a massive smile on his face. Yeah, but again, they're going to be up against it. SK, this is one of their strongest maps. They are very dangerous on this map. Hopefully, a lot of you have seen the videos on Mirage that Fallen has been putting out there. A lot of, normally you would see a player, for example, make a breakdown video of a map, and there might be 2 videos. Whereas I think he's like 6 videos in. He does one map for an entire season. Is how he does things, and that gives you an idea of how much they drill each map, how much detail they put into each map, and that's going to be a problem. But again, Blade is the kind of in-game leader who has wads of paper on teams, on maps. He has lots of information as well. So very, again, 2 very cerebral in-game leaders going up against each other. Should be quite fun coming up soon. Yeah. Very hopefully.
NIP obviously got shut down somewhat hard on this map, and I feel like they were pretty prepared. It was the last map of their best-of-3 series against Flipside, and again, it's that comfort of Flipside where they really started to show that their individual skills were up to the task, Markelov Orping as well. But against SK Gaming, it's not going to be quite so easy, because SK really know how to unlock the potential of the individual players on a map like this, and also they have a lot of, I wouldn't even call it gimmicky style play, but with all those shotguns and SMGs, they have a very stylistic approach, which is hard to prepare for.
Right then, it's time for the pistol. We are 10 seconds away. Again, Flipside starting on the CT side. See some Kevlars coming out so far. Interestingly, Char's gone from Molotov, which you don't normally see on the CT side here. So very curious to see how he chooses to use that as SK start on the T side. 4 Kevlars, Fallen's going to be the nade man as per usual, and they're all headed towards the B bomb site, it seems.
So already it looks like we could get some fast action here, but SK just slowing down. They don't want to give away any sound cues just yet, and Shara will be the first man potentially to make some contact as Taco is going to creep up there, and Shara will spot it, throwing in the grenades here, but will it be effective? They're already so far pushed, but there's 3 players here to respond for Flipside. Well did it there, able to get a couple kills, but how long can he hold on? Not long enough for chiming in there with a headshot, very timely indeed, and now it is a 3 versus 2 in favor of SK Gaming, who can now plant the bomb.
Blade and Waylander, last man standing for the team, coming in from the shot area. Shot's closed, and so is the round for Flipside. SK getting the plant and taking it with 2 players alive there. So we never saw too much from that Molotov. Shara tried to slow down the push there, but I think it was too deep towards the balcony rather than in the apps itself, so didn't get off to the start they wanted, Flipside.
Yeah, very, very basic pistol as well, and I think actually SK Gaming, they're one of the teams that have some of the coolest pistol rounds and the more elaborate ones as well, especially on a map like this historically. So it's quite fun to see them going for something very basic there. Perhaps they're not expecting Flipside to play in the format that they did. Either way, it is now going to be Flipside trying to do what they can with the couple Deagles and Kevlars that they've managed to scrap together here in this 4-spy type round. And SK Gaming quite spread out at the moment, just ready to receive any early round aggression, keeping everything very safe for now, but soon they will have middle.
See, SK only have 2 rifles at the moment. I think with some weaker teams you would see more AKs coming out and less grenades. Markelov off to a good start here, everybody alive for Flipside. There's still time for SK to play with. 4 players, and it seems that the split towards A can be possible now. Fur and Fallen in connector, FNX rotating away after showing some action towards B. That said, Shara's pushing the apps now. That might be information. Are we going to see a rotation coming in from Markelov? Indeed, he's starting to move towards B now. Fur with a deep position, so he may be able to cut off that rotation. Waylander still close to the slope with that taser. And now Blade gets taken down for Flipside.
Waylander with slightly poor timing there, but it's going to be SK Gaming now with an opportunity to plant the bomb. Just 1 man left standing, and well did it with a P250 and a dream. But his dream is about to be crushed as he has way too many players to deal with. FNX to get the kill, and a very nice cleanup actually, considering that Markov got that fast Eagle frag in middle. So for some teams, that's going to send them into a destabilized state where maybe they start to make some mistakes, or maybe they slow the round down too much. We actually saw that from Fnatic yesterday on this map, and they ended up losing the round because of it, but not SK Gaming.
That was really awkward for Waylander. He was obviously holding an angle with the taser on A ramp, but because they lost connector, he was forced to push. Otherwise, he would have been completely exposed to them coming in for the split. Then he didn't have the range to get the kill, and he was just standing there with his pants down, basically. Flip side on the last eco before the buy comes in now. We have World Edit, who's picked up a taser, and they're going to stack 4 people over towards the B bomb site. FNX with the range, though, isn't going to be tased anytime soon. He'll just hold angles and make sure there's no cheeky push there. Just holding an angle towards the left of the van will catch CTs jumping up onto the box to peek into BAPS. Always a good position to hold, especially when you have a nice spawn.
And now we see World is the one that picks up a taser. So we've seen that actually a few times in this tournament. And not many teams have been experimenting with it previously. So it's kind of cool to see a bit of a resurgence there, and why not? And of course, we have a lot of forward positioning here for the SK Gaming side. coldzera in a really nice spot at the moment. Although he's really careful, Blade is in a potentially good position, but he will get shut down in the end. Now it's going to be down to Waylander to get some damage in towards the A-bomb side. As he has a decent position, and he will have the element of surprise, but he can't get the connections he needs. And that will be Taco to finish off the frag. And now it's time for the real CS, as Flipside will be able to get a very healthy buy-in.
Well, they're going straight for the big green gun. We can expect him going towards the mid position. And again, once the, well, if the economy gets secured for Flipside, perhaps we will see Markelov pick one up as, well, you can hold BAPS with a second AWP, you can hold short with a second AWP, as you used to see quite a lot. You can see SK doing that as well. For 3 AKs, the Galil and the UMP, Fer likes his variety, and he will continue with that. Many SK players top of mid at the moment. Blade's going to put the one-way smoke down. That Molotov is going to get taken down, actually. So as he sees these players going towards short, he can raise the alarm for his teammate. He needs frags, though. Not really finding them at the moment. Fish in the barrel, but no kills whatsoever for Blade.
Lots of damage, but as you say, it's not going to count for much because it's a very fast entry frag coming in for SK Gaming to allow them to claim the bomb site. Cole's going in for some aggression towards connector to slow the rotation, but he actually doesn't get a frag, which does give an opportunity here for Flipside.
This is a save.
Yeah, I was going to say, that for some reason, they're not deciding to even hazard a guess at this one. They're just going to say, well, you know what, we're just going to save.
Yeah, this is a smart decision. That was GG already. The way SK moved so fast down short, the fact that Blade didn't get a single kill from connector, they have nobody in position on B once Shara gets taken down. While that it is outside, there are 2 smokes, window and door of the shop. It would be suicide for Flipside to try and get into this site. So you just have to give it up, save with 4 people. You can see their economy was already lacking. They don't have many grenades to start the round off with. They didn't really get to throw any either because SK played it so fast. Just trying to negate. I mean, they know the AWP is coming. They play a fast round, negate it. Something we saw G2 do to Fallen on Overpass, actually, at the ECS final. So far, so good. Taco still chasing, though. Trying to do whatever he can to do damage here. Blade's going to get taken down, but 3 rifles surviving. Still okay here for the CTs. Even a plot pod gets some bullets there.
Oh, yeah, and they actually saved some grenades, too, so ended up working out quite well for them. They don't have a kit, though, but I'm sure they'll remedy that now. And 3 weapons surviving is a very different story to just 2 weapons surviving. Obviously, you can get the drops in, make sure everyone has a gun in most cases. And Blade's actually going to opt to keep the PT-50 there. Oh, actually, no, they did get a FAMAS, which is good. And he has 4 grenades, so this is a very respectable little weaponry here for Flipside to move into the round with. And first along a UMP as well. So pretty evenly matched, I should say, and if World Edit's able to get something done with this AWP, that would be very nice as well. He's playing very passively, actually, on the A-bomb side at the moment. He's playing around the toll booth area, and SK Gaming playing a bit of map control into middle, seeing what they can get. And Flipside are giving up control fairly easily here, just showing a little bit of presence, but they're not really willing to commit for a heavy trade scenario, as some teams would be.
Indeed. Look at Shara's position towards B apps. He has a lot of information for his team at the moment, and despite SK having 3 people and having split B in the previous round, they should know that A is more likely here. Waylander's getting taken down in connector though, so no problem. Down goes Blade as well. Markelov finally answers something back from short. And Shara, I mean, at this point, maybe you have to gamble. He could go for a push through apps. He's choosing to go into middle instead. So Markelov's passive towards B. And it seems the CTs are slowly moving towards A, and well, that it's going to need their help. coldzera currently in the mid position behind the boxes. The rest of SK over towards A. They have 1 smoke, 1 flash, 1 HE, so we're going to see some picks coming in from both sides.
That's really important there from Shara, especially as SK has slowly worked that man advantage finally, but they haven't really gotten themselves into the bomb site, and they're going to switch up. The plan at the moment is Cold. Very important play for the team right now, holding this middle position. He is going to be able to really help that push onto B and also stop any information plays from Flipside into that mid area. But he's got so many angles to look at, and he actually manages to turn around and take out Shara. And World Edit cannot get an angle in time. It's going to be all on top of Markelov here to make this round possible for Flipside, and they desperately need it. The time is of the essence. This might be exactly what Markelov needs to win the round. The bomb is down. Oh, they've won it. They've won the round. No time to plant the bomb. Oh, there it is. And it's going to be another round there, finally, on the board. But for this time it's going to be for Flipside with that timeout. And I mean, we've seen this actually happening a lot this tournament, where teams just don't give themselves quite enough time if something goes wrong to actually remedy it quickly enough.
Yeah, well, I think that was good decision-making by SK. Again, they didn't really have the utility. They know that AWP is saved. They didn't have any engagements in mid, so it may have been quite difficult for them to get the picks over towards A, especially when that engagement came towards Palace. But Markelov just playing the clock there. Very nicely done indeed. So 4-1, SK going to be back on the buy. 5 AKs for them. You don't always need an AWP on the T side of this map. Dignitas, for example, will be a team who will go for 5 AKs as well. Waylander playing close now. Going to get engaged by Taco. Traded by Worlded though. Cold Zero's top mid, but all the action's on A at the moment. Worlded's gone down as well. So Blaze alone. Smokes all over the place. Markelov, Shara out of position. Big problems here for Flipside.
Yeah, they got the bomb site now, and Markelov and Shara come in, but they've only got a flashbang each. So honestly, in this kind of a situation, they just got to go for it. They don't have any money, so I've got to hope for the impossible, and we get a couple frags coming in. But now, once again, Markelov with everything to do by himself. 1 versus 2. He doesn't have a kit on himself just yet. Maybe there's one to pick up along the way, but that incendiary is going to waste a lot of time. He doesn't have a smoke to get through it quickly. This is just so painful, so frustrating for Markelov. And finally, the Molotov will dissipate, but so much time is gone. Markelov realizes at this point the only play to make is to save the gun. And it's crazy sometimes how much just one grenade can do, but it stopped Markelov, and that's going to be the full reset coming in, and that is a desperate situation for Flipside.
Yeah, that action came in so fast on the A site. The economy got reset like a Sega Mega Drive. That in a flash, it all disappeared and everything went dark. Only Markelov surviving for now to bear witness to the war crimes on the A site. Just the one round here. This is a terrible, terrible, terrible start here for Flipside CT side, and this is where they're going to need to rack up the numbers here. So a 1-5 deficit is less than ideal, to say the least. Waylander hasn't got a single frag yet. He's a player, a Finnish guy. He had to take a break from CS to go and serve in the Russian army. Comes back into CS, hyped up guy, leaves Gambit, finally gets signed by Flipside. Hasn't got a single frag on the board just yet. This is the time to get it. They've done well to get to this point, but they can't give up now. Some pistols coming out, the UMP onto Shara. How much money are they leaving in the bank? Not much. Well, then it's leaving some cash in the bank, so he can get AWPs later on. Other than that, this shouldn't be a good round here for CTs. Good start though. Blaze making things a bit awkward for Fallen as well. He needs to make sure he hits his shot. He's alone, he's isolated. He's gonna have to run through the Molotov, and Shara's got an angle now, but it's a gamble to go through the smoke. There's lots to be done. HG's flying in as well. That's an AWP for Flipside.
So early in the round, they've managed to get a lot of advantages here. It's pretty cool to capitalize on the aggression that way. And from this position, you'd probably expect them to play somewhat passively. As you say, they're able to steal away the AWP. They don't have much in the way of grenades, but nor do SK at this point. So this is going to end up being a very interesting round. Colzer is going to wait for his teammates to position towards the Slope and Palace position to try to get that triple-pronged attack going onto the A bomb site. And Markelov is there, but he's playing sort of a retake position, very safe by the toll booth area. So Markelov should be pretty safe to get the information, survive, wait for his teammates to rotate before going for a retake, if that's how this round will go. But let's see if SK can claim a frag onto Markelov if they are able to catch him immediately.
Again, there are time problems coming soon for SK, and Shara, he's well out of position actually, so his Molotov isn't relevant at this point, but that could have come into play once the plant goes in. Blade trying to hold things down on the B bomb site. Cold maybe trying to pull a rotation here over towards B. There isn't really time for the bomb to rotate, so he has to make this work. He has to either make Flipside believe that it's going to be a B play. You can see him running around now, and indeed he's pulling the rotation while they're just moving over towards B. Markelov gets taken down towards A, but that's the bomb. They're going to see it. It's rotation straight back. Now Cold can come in for a flank, but Shara's coming in for a flank as well. It's absolutely crazy, but there are 10 seconds left. This bomb needs to go down. Finally does. 3 versus 2 retake here for Flipside.
Yeah, there's actually just a Mac 10 on Taco, so this is actually fairly awkward, but FNX with the AK, they're able to take down Blade as he comes through the window area, and Taco has found himself an upgrade. The M4 in hand now, as he's quite aware that the players are coming from the CT. What? He's going to turn around and nail Shara straight in the face. That is fantastic work there from Taco. He should have been done, but he's able to save SK in that situation. What a crazy round. That was so beautifully and calmly played there to pull the rotation, put it all on Cold, and if you're going to bet all on Cold, it's often going to turn out pretty good for you.
That was a great start for Flipside. Ooh. goodbye, just resting with his elbow on the windowsill there. It was a great start for Flipside, and that will be annoying. It was essentially an eco round for them, or a crappy force buy round, so they can't have been expecting much, but to get that ahead has got to be slightly tilting for the team. Down to an eco now, just pistols and 2 flashbangs here for Flipside. 2 players around the connector area for the CTs, and one of them is going to get taken down very early by Fallen.
Yeah, forward one as well, so just a very fast anti-eco round playing out here for the Brazilians as they are making a lot of money. And if they don't lose anybody, which, well, that's going to be the case, that's fantastic. They are going to have such great money going into the future rounds. I mean, we already have FNX on 16K, so this is definitely problematic. So as soon as Flipside start winning rounds, assuming that they can do so, they are likely never going to face eco rounds for SK Gaming. Every single round is going to be a hard graft.
Indeed, another situation where there's a lack of utility here for Flipside. Flashes, smokes, no Molotovs whatsoever. Can't stop any plants, can't try and force the Ts out of positions, top mid, etc. or anywhere else. Markelov will be, sorry, Wordodit will be holding his angle in mid, but soon he'll have to change his position. That smoke on short is a real problem, and it's why AWPers can be less effective unless you have a style such as JW on this map. Again, just being denied information, denied angles, denied picks. Well, did it rendered useless for now.
And this is a very important moment here. We're seeing, you know, the attempt into middle, but it looks like Flipside have players, a bit of a crossfire there to try to do some damage. And the way these frags go really means a lot in how this round's going to end up. But a re-smoke there, and I like how Flipside are stopping SK from getting into connector here. They're not really allowing them to do anything, and soon all the grenades, all the smoke grenades are going to be gone, and they're going to be sat in the open in middle, and Blade finds his moment to strike, as Markelov finds an engagement as well. Beautiful trades, or well, series of kills here from Flipside, and now they're at a massive advantage, and it doesn't look like there's much here for the SK Gaming side to do. Fallen and FNX will grab a couple kills, but FNX now on a 1 versus 3.
Yeah, he could still do some damage to the CT economy. They don't have any money in the hole, whereas SK will have no issue going for a full buy in the next round. So in that case, FNX has nothing to lose here. Going to reset the situation. I think Shara might be holding an angle on him. But even if he dies, as long as he tries to get some more kills, he won't on this occasion. But the pressure will continue for SK. It's good. Could have been great, but it's good that Flipside win with 3 players alive. That will help them. You can see how hard this buy is going to be. I mean, SK are going to have a better buy, more utility. They can have an AWP if they want one, choosing not to go for it at the moment. 5-round lead for the Brazilians. So Flipside will be on the defense once again. A slightly better buy than last time. You see the Molotovs coming back out now for the CT side. A bunch of defuse kits as well. So let's see what their approach will be. They're going to change Wordodit's position as they know he's going to get smoked off immediately. Going towards connector, trying to find something as the Ts move over towards the mid box. But again, they're going for a fast short play.
Yeah, and Markelov is the man to try to stop this. There is Fur takes a lot of damage from the grenades, and Waylander finds him in the back of the head with the AK long range. As SK are unrelenting, they cannot be denied this B bomb site, but there is a lot to deal with still. 2 players, Shara now, just dropping bodies. Now as it's just going to be FNX and Cole charging forwards, and they can't break the defensive line. That is Blade and Shara. That was such a strong response from Flipside to what was supposed to be a very shocking pace that was supposed to catch them off guard.
3 players surviving again for the CTs, but they don't manage to retain the AWP that well that it drops around a connector position. He had 5k going into this round, had a decision to make, chose to go for a UMP instead of AWP no armor. So, you know, that's not why he's on the team. We'll see what he can do with it. SK back on another buy, more pressure coming in, but the nades are starting to dwindle. The money is starting to run out here for the Brazilians. So Flipside, perhaps they have an opportunity to get some momentum going. SK don't seem to have any breaks on their wheels at the moment, moving over towards the B bomb site. Shara has taken a semi-aggressive spot. No, he's just peeking actually for the time being, but he may have many plays upon him very soon.
Yeah, Shara is the first man here. He's got Markelov to help him out, but lots of grenades all over the place. A bit of confusion now, although Markelov will make the first frag, and Fallen as well will be answering back with a double, and Taco's going to continue the push straight into the shop, and just like that, everyone is dead. Waylander with nothing to do really here, although that said, they won't know this, but there are 3 players who are around 10 HP, which obviously can make a big difference, but you know, we can see the health and Waylander can't. So that's going to be a save for him, or at least an attempt at a save. And it was very important, at the very least, that Flipside managed to win the previous round to avoid being fully reset, because I think they survived with 4 players. So that means that they will actually have some options. They won't have to just get, you know, that hard reset where they have to double eco, essentially, which would have more or less probably signed away the Mirage match here in this best of 3.
Yeah, I was just thinking, is this the round that ruins Flipside's half? If Waylander can hold on to this weapon. This is a very key weapon to hold on to, looking at the money on the scoreboards for the rest of the side. Again, there's minimal loss bonus coming in for them. So we've got Blade on 5k, but the rest are on 2 to 3k. So life sucks right now for Flipside in this round, money-wise. And they may be inclined to hold on to what they have at the moment, because Blade can drop an AWP for Wilded in the following round, so they may just go for an eco here. They've had many buys where they've been distinctly lacking in grenades, as we've seen time and time again. So they can go for another buy here, but then this buy will suck, and then next round's buy will suck as well. So they're going to go for the eco and buy basically nothing in this round.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And if they're able to get that 5 frags or something around there, 5 rounds, something around there, they'll probably be quite happy considering how this series has gone so far. And quick opening there from FNX as he's able to get the Brazilians onto that B-bomb site, and it should be fairly easy from this point forwards. Already the hard job is being done. FNX is going to try to take control of shop. There is a Wilded it though. He's close by, and he's going to lose that engagement, of course. So SK Gaming look pretty solid here. Quick frag there from Blade though to make things a little bit more annoying. But SK otherwise pretty fine ace. Markov actually still in the bomb site, but not for much longer. And it looks like that's a wrap pretty much. Waylander again, if he can save this AK, that's going to be pretty huge, to be honest, moving forwards. And I would say the Flipside are a team that's going to be more interesting on their T side. They're going to be very comfortable on their T side. So again, if they get that kind of like a 5-round mark, something similar to that, they'll be, I think, quite happy moving into the second half.
Yeah, they won't be comfortable with a mere 3 rounds on the board. So we can expect the AWP to come out, unless they choose to go for a double eco, but they're good. But again, a lot of the players are going to be short on grenades once more, but at least they're going to have the AWP back onto Wild Edit. That's always going to be a big thing. But again, SK have done a really good job at nullifying the usefulness of Wild Edit with simple smokes. Smokes towards connector, smokes towards the CPO position. And that's why I was mentioning that Fox, for example, is not going to be as effective on the CT side. And you can see why, based on what SK are doing to Wild Edit. He just has no lines to hold unless he wants to get aggressive, but that's not his style. That was simple style when he was on Flipside. So let's have a look and see where these players are headed at the moment. You can see now well that it's holding an angle towards a ramp. They're trying to keep him effective because he's running around just staring at smokes for the time being. Meanwhile, SK moving into mid once again. Loads of smokes in the middle area. No frags just yet. The CT still willing to hold the connector position. Only 1 frag, but the trade comes in. Fur going to get naded into oblivion. Man advantage soon disappears. Markov gets taken down in response. Palace push is going to pay off as well. Down goes Wilder. 2 versus 3. Flipside getting wrecked once again.
And they're in a very, very desperate situation. The help is there, though, for him, so he doesn't have to worry about every single angle. But where are these T's going at the moment? Taco winning the open battle against Shara. Now Waylander needs to do something, but he can't. Cold Zero in with the kill. And that is the round for SK Gaming. And it was all about that one for Flipside. Now they're back to poor money again, and already they've conceded so many rounds. Do they decide to just force it up 2 times in a row with the loss bonus that they have? Or do they try to get one last buy-in to try to have, well, try to just play for the 4
They have
rounds?
to eco here. They can't win a round with a full buy. There's no way they're winning a round if they go for a forced buy with 3k in the bank. Pistols coming out here. And it seems SK are just hard countering Flipside again. It's very similar to a sense to what G2 did to SK on Overpass at ECS Finals. Just avoided Fallen, completely exploited the B-bomb site, and there was just no answer. And now we're seeing that from Flipside. They cannot get well at it in the game, and they're paying for it. He has 5 kills at the moment, although Waylander's finally made it onto the score, but he's got 2 kills, so nothing really going Flipside's way. And they might be more proficient on the T side, but with 3 rounds in the hole, they're going to be up against maximum pressure.
Maybe, though, they can get something else done with the Deagles. We'll have to see. Already Wilded it has 1 frag, finding himself 1 kill with that one just earlier. Now Cold Zero is going to spot what it is, so no more shenanigans from him. Just Markov sitting there, and SK Gaming can finally get the bomb towards the A-bomb site of the plant.
It's really cool, actually. FNX made his way through the B-bomb site, and nice damage done there by Markov. FNX made his way through the B-bomb site. Taco started to rotate when there were 2 players alive, just to be safe, but once they took down the last player, like, okay, who cares? we've got a numbers game. We're going into the last round. Doesn't really matter what happens here as long as we win the round. Rotates back towards the A site to finish things off with his team. 3-11, and the double ops come out, but only in the last round here for Flipside.
Yeah, we actually see 4 ops, 5 ops purchased by SK Gaming. So are they really doing this?
What is this?
5 ops. All right then. Flipside, I was going to say, it's pretty exciting considering what they did with double ops with Markov yesterday. But there are 5 ops. What is this? They've obviously dropped some AKs in spawn for the mid-round, but still, this is going to be pretty bad. It looks like Coldzera already finding well at it, and we get another frag coming in there in trade. Markov onto FNX in the B apartment, so things going 4-4 at the moment, but Coldzera is creeping, and he might just find himself another one. The flick shot connects, but Shara is only going to get legged, and he will punish Coldzera. So there's a good chance here for Flipside, but will SK Gaming commit to these ops, or will they go back for the AKs and spawn?
5-man on road here for the Brazilians, but 2 have been taken down. And indeed, there are 4 AKs if they choose to pick them up. And again, this is the kind of thing you'd expect to see from Fnatic. Just the sheer level of confidence shown by the players is great stuff to see, especially in the first series, the first map of the series, excuse me. See Fallen rotating now, but he's surely not going to be the one to pick up an AK. Bomb moving over towards A as Fur holds an angle in the middle of the site. Waylander will surely be able to shoot him in the behind very soon. And there it is. Taco now holding an angle, takes him down. Fur gets taken down by Chara though, 2 versus 2. This is a crucial round for Flipside, but SK don't seem to really care.
Yeah, they're definitely taking some liberties, to say the least, but obviously there is a chance here. Markov's got that ult, and I'm excited to see what he can do with this. He's rotating through CT, as we can see Shara's on the other side there towards the window area, just making sure that he doesn't get flanked whilst Markov moves into position to go for this retake. Obviously, the bomb hasn't gone down just yet as well, but now they're going to hear that it has indeed been planted on that A site, and they can start to move in for this retake. We have Taco and Fallen in position as well, but they're quite close together. There is definitely a chance here as Flipside trying to make their way in past the grenades. Shara's moving forwards now, and just sees one player. That's some information, but Taco is going to take down Shara. So Markov knows where they both are, but he's stuck with an AWP on close range. He's just going to go straight for it with this USP, as he is going to find Taco. But will he get the kill here? Taco misses the shot. He's very low on health, but he gets the kill with the Tech 9. And that is a brilliant start there for SK Gaming.
Very dominant performance in the first half of this entire series. 15 rounds in, Waylander 2 kills, well done it, 5 kills. I mean, to what it's credit, like, SK completely took him out of the game just with the sheer smokes. And again, he's not an aggressive style AWPer, so it's not like he can play a spawn, move into Palace, try and get a pick. He doesn't do that. That's not what he does. So he gets completely taken out of the game. It's 5 versus 4 in this map.
All right, so 12-3 will Flipside find a way to make it back into this one. It's going to be very tough, but they move into their better side, the T side, the more dynamic side. Find out after the break.
(12-3) is the score between these two sides. Flipside were just completely taken out in mid, in A, in B, everywhere by the Brazilian side, the reigning defending champions here at the ESL Cologne Major.
finding just the right rounds to win, resetting Flipside at the most untimely moments for Flipside at the very least. I mean, they're going to go into this, their T side with the tallest of tasks to do and one of the best teams in the world to do it against, perhaps the best team in the world. We'll find out if SK can make that run. But, I mean, Flipside, one of the things we always would talk about when it comes to their teams is how Blade is able to coordinate his teammates all into these crazy trading situations when they finally attack bomb sites, and they're a good team when it comes to taking away map control. They have the tools to do this. If they have those individual performances we saw from yesterday and the day previous to that one as well, then this is definitely a possibility for them. But if SK are just getting warm up, if they're getting into the groove of things, obviously this is one of the hardest teams to do it against. And looks like we're into the pistol round now between SK and Flipside. Definitely a must-win for Flipside.
Look at FNX. Look at FNX into the game. Into the game. FNX is pushing all the way up top mid, while Dedet's currently holding an angle, and you can see he's in the door. So FNX is not going to have an idea, but it's definitely a place to check one of the off angles on this map, and he's probably going to have an advantage, FNX here. Indeed he is. Well, then it gets taken down for free. The bomb is close by. Blade's going to go and collect it. Waylander still in T-spawn looking over towards A, and that's going to be the bomb spotted on the radar as well for FNX. Oh, no, it's not. It's still on the floor. Blade hasn't picked it up just yet. Going to go back maybe and collect it. Just a quick correction. It was the Finnish army that Waylander served in, not the Russian one. So thank you, Internet. FNX still large and in charge, loud and proud. Top of mid at the moment, and Flipside are just biding their time, just holding angles. But how long can they do this for?
Yeah, there's so much information for SK. It's amazing that they're just out there this long at the moment, and well, I guess I don't blame them too much. They managed to, of course, secure it with a frag on from FNX onto World Edit, and now Flipside, they're starting to think about making a move. Got the bomb. Oh, if they try to reclaim middle here, this could be problematic because FNX has an amazing position. He's got support as well as Blade and Shara start to edge up. FNX is going to find an easy frag, and all of a sudden Shara's in a lot of trouble. FNX finding himself the third kill, and now it's Markov and Waylander with 25 seconds to get the bomb, get it to a bomb site, but also kill so many Brazilians who are starting to all march onto that middle position. What are you going to do? Absolutely nothing. 4 kills for FNX in this pistol round. SK Gaming making life truly terrible for Flipside.
That is... how do you say disaster in German, Dan? After the second frag comes in from FNX top mid, the third player is looking... he's looking behind him. He's looking towards T-spawn. He has no idea what's going on there. You know what the term is? Right in this spot, look, Shara's like looks the wrong way. Pozadi Tebia. It's Russian for behind you, Dan. That's what he needed to know. Disaster strikes in the second half for Flipside. 13-3. We've got Shara on dual elites, Dan. That's absolutely madness. You could buy dual elites or Tech9 for the same price. Tech9 is far more accurate. Why on earth would you ever buy dual elites?
I don't know. I don't think there is a reason. To be honest, I can't think of much cool why you would do that.
My dual elites are called mistyped by RIP.
I think that's accurate, though. So respect for that. And one thing we have here is, well, I was about to say Ferro on that auto shotgun, but he's actually going to give that one away to Waylander. Nice donation there. And Shara's going to get a kill with the almost said 5-7 of the dual elites. But there it is. This is what I wanted to see. Fallen, jumping around that scout. He can be quite the menace, and he's going to need to be right now because we have World Edit finding himself another Deagle headshot. And now there are huge problems here for SK Gaming. If they're going to get reset in this round, that is a perfect way back in for Flipside. And now they know that the B bomb site's clear. They just have to hold it whilst the bomb makes its way over there, and it will take some time. And well, SK go for this. Looks like Cole will at the very least see what he can get done. One frag made. Cole can make this very, very hard indeed for Flipside. He's able to get a couple more kills here.
See him trying to fit the numbers of the pistol. A double dink though, or a single dink coming in there from Markov will be enough. Fallen now. He can take out 2 of these players, but he will not take out any. Flipside after a horrible pistol round win an unlikely second round here. So there's still a chance. 9 rounds behind SK, but more importantly, SK are just a mere 3 rounds from closing out map 1. Let's see what they choose to do. Some money being spent in the early rounds when a pistol is won and then a force buy is won by the opposing team. You can often see forces going backwards and forwards between each team until one starts to win consecutive rounds. And indeed, we will see the force buy coming out for SK here. Deagles all over the shop.
Deagles for days, and there's no other choice really other than the fourth buy for SK to try to reset Flipside immediately. If they do that, they pretty much won the map as well, so very good choice. And already we get a tag onto Shara, so...
You can wallbang this position.
This is very... This could get pretty awkward here. for reasons like that, FNX peeking out, finding the frag onto Wilded. And now there are problems because they've also got Shara who's on low HP. They sort of need to do something now. They can't really wait too much longer. They've got to get the bodies into a bomb site, and that's what they're about to do as Waylander now goes down to 2 HP. This is very, very awkward.
Yeah, Shara and Waylander can both be deagled or scouted here, and Blade as well. We saw this happen with Envy on Overpass, where they won a critical round against a team just with deagles when they were all tagged, and we might see the same thing happen here for Flipside. The bomb is moving over to the B bomb site though, which is a very good, nice play. SK completely out of position, starting to rotate now as they don't see Flipside moving quickly into the site. Taco's in position now. Flipside are nowhere near these windows. There are big problems coming for Flipside.
The problems are marching in quite quickly as Taco finds himself the first headshot with a deagle. Can't get anything else done though, as Markov is going to get himself in there by the car position to try to push things forwards, but Cold is going to drop one of his teammates. Markov, without comrades in the near vicinity, doesn't need them. 2 frags made by him into the bomb site. The taps come in, but a very nasty tag from Fallen. Fallen can end this now. He's going to be able to get the tags in with that scout. It's 1 on each player, and that would be it. But Markov finds himself the 4th kill. Quad kill coming out from Markov. And we have seen him really stepping it up this tournament. He's on 17 frags right now. He's doing a wonderful job here for Flipside to keep them in this. And winning that round resets SK as well. They don't really have much to work with in this round.
If I'm not mistaken, Markov has been at every major, and he has no intention of leaving just yet. Indeed, top fragging for his team, far and ahead of the rest of his team, who really need to get back into this game. I don't know if they woke up on the wrong side of the bed here, but they need to focus sooner rather than later. So, SK, the force buy fails, and they'll be down to the pistols. No Kevlar whatsoever, just the 1 flash onto Fallen. I think he's going to throw it over the top of a ramp to allow his teammates to push in. Indeed, he's going to do exactly that. They see nobody's there, and they may choose to stack elsewhere. They have problems towards Connector, though. There's a smoke down for the T's, which allows them to go for a multitude of things. They can take possession of Connector, they can go towards a B split, they can move into ladder room. You see Taco and Cold close to short as well. So SK trying to be reactive here, trying to be fast.
So they might find a few players here, and Taco is going to find himself the first headshot as well. It has a lot of problems coming his way, and he can't deal with them. It's going to be a 5 versus 3 now in favor of SK, as Blade tries to get some of these refrags, and there's players facing him all over the place. This is quite chaotic with Blade. Repositions, able to get another frag there as Markov comes in as well, and the cleanup operation has worked to some extent, but they have gained a lot of losses in the process. Now it's just Cold Zero with that CZ. He's got no Kevlar as well, and Markov is just lurking here in middle. He has the bomb as well, so this, if some miracle happens and Cold makes the frag, that's the bomb and an AK. Oh, Cold almost able to get it very close, down to 17 points of health, but Markov picks up the kill, keeps his streak of frags running in there, and it's going to be 13-6 now. And I can't really emphasize enough how much, I mean, it's already a massive upset that Flipside made it this far and were able to take out MIP. But if they give SK, you know, real hard series as well, that is going to speak so much in favor of Flipside in the coming months.
Ding dong. Shara gets his bell rung and then some. Anyway, 6-13. Now we have SK coming out on the buy, and it's their turn to have the limited utility, limited grenades, limited economy. Doesn't mean they're going to go aggressive. Let's have a look at FNX's position. We may see him stand in this corner here, and he'll have a teammate close to him as well in Fallen. So FNX will be the trade fragger, and Fallen will be the point man in this kind of setup. Fur will be keeping an eye on the Palace position once that smoke disappears. You can see that smoke's going to get re-smoked while Waylander is standing over there, so he's going to be wasting his time for the time being. I think Waylander's lining up a Molotov, actually, into the shadow position. So let's see what the play is. Can SK hold in this position? Getting harassed somewhat with grenades, but it seems Flipside are committed to the split here.
Yeah, SK deciding to just play that close up instead of pushing, and this might work out. They don't have nades here. They have to make the kills happen, but they can't do it. 2 fantastic entries coming in from Blade and Wilded to secure that A-bomb site, but there's still Fur. He's lurking around here, but really everything rests on him. Taco's been discovered. He's trying to make his way around CT. He actually claims the kill there on the pursuing Shara, and these players here are quite weak for Flipside, so this is very doable. All of a sudden, Fur is looking to get it done, but Wilded is able to find the frag just before the smoke blooms, and Taco, oh, he's going to find just a pixel there to work with, but it's not enough in time. Waylander gets the plant and the frag in the end as he spins around, and that's going to be another round for Flipside. They are slowly but surely climbing back. It's still quite a ways to go, but they've got an economy to work with now.
That is a huge round for Flipside, and look how close it was to being stolen by SK at the very end there. That could have easily gone SK any other Friday, but not this one. 6 rounds between these two sides. SK opting to spend a bit of money, but it's really an eco coming out for them. Just trying to maim the Flipside players, worst case scenario here. Cold with a UMP and some Kevlar to boot. So we'll see if we're going to see more aggressive actions here from SK. Fallen in first, starting to creep towards mid. We have Shara doing some very weird stuff in T-spawn. Good Shara. Nice shot there by Fallen. Shara's AFK spinning in circles in T-spawn. I'm not really sure what's going on here.
That is rather odd, actually. Just checking out Shara's pop there on RPCs. Yeah, very weird indeed. But to see what's going on. Either way, we've got Fallen going for the push there. He's able to obviously get that kill. And that's going to make life very, very weird now for Flipside, because also the information gained is always going to be problematic. But they do decide to fall back. And right now, Flipside is just holding. So
I really want to see Shara. He's doing some serious Michael Jackson in T-spawn. Apparently my requests will be denied. There we go.
Oh, just a glimpse, just a taste. There it is.
Third person, third person. Never mind. Well, while Shara's spinning in the middle of T-spawn, they will be basically 3 versus 5. So we'll see what Flipside can do in this situation. Bomb is over towards B. 35 seconds left on the clock here, so very weird, awkward rounds at the moment for Flipside. And again, this is a round where SK don't really have anything going on, so this could really change the pace of, well, to change everything. I mean, they're running out of time here to push the site, and we've got bodies here, 3 now on the B-bomb site for SK. Time running out for Flipside. They need to get some frags here. Waylander goes down, which makes it 2 versus 5.
Yeah, obviously Shara still stuck in spawn, and here goes Cold Zero with the UMP, and he's going to find the bomb! And that is surely it right now, because, well, Shara is just in spawn with some kind of issue. He stopped spinning around now, so there's progress.
He has stopped spinning.
The ride has ended. He's jumping around and wondering what the hell just happened.
I'm back, guys, I'm here! But the round's been lost, so that's really unfortunate. Whatever happened there has potentially cost Flipside the round. They have half the score of SK now. They have money to come in for a buy, however. That's a good start there for Fallen at the beginning of that round. So things appear to be continuing.
Well, we have right now a situation where there's a very limited amount of utility on Flipside, and they'll be going for a tentative mid-take with Shara pretty much alone there, just kind of edging his way in, whilst the rest of his teammates play out sort of a default, just spreading out around the map. And, well, Waylander's going to peek out, and he's going to get completely destroyed there by FNX. That is a very bad look now for Flipside, losing 2 players early on. And not really getting much out of it, and running out of grenades as the time ticks away. Got Cold here in a very annoying position as well. Should Flipside try to get close to connector or come out of underpass, he's obviously will have the drop on them. And one of these players from Flipside, there's no other solution than someone taking a big risk and somehow pulling off that individual performance to make it work. It's all they can do from this perspective, and that is why that position can be very painful. Cold, great angle. Shara is down as well, so now it's a 2 versus 5. This is heart-wrenching stuff for Flipside.
Could be the end of the line in map 1. Taco holding angles over towards the B-bomb site here. Very nice kill and a trade from Markloff, but it's a 1 versus 5. He's got the those, so we might see a bit of a highlight reel, and Flipside are definitely going to need it. Otherwise, they could be halfway out the door in the first map of this best of 3. Cold Zero's taken down straight away, just waiting for Markloff to offer himself, to put himself on the plate there. 15-7 FSK.
15-7, yeah, it doesn't get too much worse than this for Flipside. Of course, their start in this series was very bad, and the way that they were coming back in the T side gave me a lot of hope for them, but their money has been completely crippled. The bomb going down at least is going to allow them to get some extra grenades with the extra $800 each, maybe a Galil in there. Indeed, I think we're going to see a Galil. So there is some utility to work with, but they're pretty much restricted to a fast round. And SK Gaming should be able to read the money, that they'll be expecting a fast round out of Flipside. And they can take positions that are a little bit further back, and they can play more of a retake style. That's one way to handle that, but we'll have to see what they decide to go for. They have a bit of information going on there, just taking over Palace, and Fallen able to make the frag in middle as the main push comes into the B-bomb site. And we have Taka right now trying to defend, trying to do it all with the help of Cold Zero. And this is looking great right now for SK. 2 players left standing for Flipside. And what can they do?
Waylander, 13 HP, and he is dead. SK with a very strong victory, and again showing loads of confidence with a 5-all play in the last round of the first half. A monstrous start from them to see if it carries on into the second match, which will be interesting in itself. 25 kills for FNX, 25 kills for Taco. A lot of those Flipside players didn't really show up again on their CT side. Well, then it was kept out of the game by the strategy of SK. That was really nice stuff to see. They caused them huge problems, and there was no way around it for Flipside, maybe being a bit one-dimensional in that respect. There was some potential on Flipside's T side. It seems they were ready for the aggressive setup that SK have over towards A ramp, but in the end it wasn't enough here. A dominating score line for SK in the first map.
And considering that we're moving into good old Nuke, it is hard to know what to expect because we haven't really seen it this tournament, and a lot of teams have just been using it to scare other teams away. I think they actually mentioned on the desk as well. So as we move into that, it's going to be interesting, to say the least. But now it's time to hear the thoughts of the analysts after that first map.
It was exactly what the desk did predict. Mirage goes the way of SK Gaming. Flipside put up a fight, but it was not enough. The CS team do fall in the first. Of course, we have lots of time to talk about Nuke in just a moment, but Lauren, we'll start with you. What we expected, we kind of described it as it was going to be a bit of an uphill struggle for Flipside, calling SK one of the best Mirage teams in the world. Any surprises?
Not really, if I'm honest. SK, the first couple of rounds, took mid-control as highlighted, plowed through. Almost no resistance to it as well. People like welded it once the bigger buyers started coming in, completely smoked out. Few opportunities to use it, tried to be aggressive on ramp with every now and then on the first half, shut down again. It was every single time these individual plays tried to come through, they were exploiting B a lot on their T side for SK, just constantly piling in. None of it stuck. Occasionally, sure, Markelov might have had a couple of moments where he started to come back in, but it was all just here and there. None of it strung together for me.
Now, Yenko, you had something specifically you wanted to highlight about this first map here in our second quarterfinal. What was it?
Yes, I mean, it was a pretty convincing win for SK all around, so there wasn't one particular round or two that decided the course of the game, but this is one of maybe something that's a fundamental of Counter-Strike. It was actually a round where Flipside kind of forced. They were 5-1 down, I believe the score was, and they got the advantage early on in the round. But we can play it out now if it's ready, so that people can see it on screen. So yes, this is how the round started. Flipside got a man advantage. It was a 4v3 situation for them, and then you will see how coldzera basically late on into the round went for a B fake by himself. He pushed Cat, made a lot of noise, tried to draw more Flipside players to that bomb side. You can see it right here on your screens. And the mistake here comes from Waylander. We will see it in just a moment. You can see at this moment, Waylander is the player that is, the anchor player on A. And it was only coldzera who was towards the B bomb side. He was the only one that was making noise, the only one that you could see there. So there's no reason for Waylander to rotate yet until he basically sees the bomb or until they see more of SK's players. So he will rotate earlier, and that is going to lose the round basically for SK, for Flipside.
Yeah, we did see it kind of. So CS fundamentals, even when we were on a stage like this, mistakes are being made. Duncan, same kind of question I posed to Lauren. Was there anything that surprised you? I mean, that was a pretty standard expected result, was it not?
No, this is why you can't sleep on a map like Mirage for the guys from SK, because every great team, every team that's like a dynasty that won many championships, they always have to have the home map. And the idea of the home map is we know we're going to win that one. And then even if the opponent gets theirs, we're going to the third map. So you're never going to outright lose the series. And Mirage, very much, it was their original map that they came up on, and they've retained it as one of their best maps. Out of the last, now, 10 times they've played it, they've only lost one time. And that was, believe it or not, to Cloud9 in kind of a big upset. So all the other great Mirage teams in the world play this team on it, and they beat them on it consistently. So guys from SK Gaming, they're absolutely phenomenal. Obviously, the scores are the wrong way around there, but we can see in terms of the ADR, etc. Unfortunately, Waylander really is the guy you have to highlight, because it's like I said, he can be a very explosive player, and when he comes through big, you're going to have matches like that match against NIP. He had a match where he knocked Envious out of MLG Columbus, I remember, but he also isn't very consistent. Likewise, similar story with World Edit, unfortunately. He's another guy where you really need to get a lot of the firepower from him. Sometimes you're not going to against the tier 1 opposition, though. Meanwhile, you go over to the guys from SK, and they just have talent all over the place. I mean, they can have, I think it was actually Fur who was the one just chilling at the bottom of the scoreboard. You never would have noticed because they were so dominant anyway. So I think it was a mismatch on many levels. Like, the map went to the guys from SK. I think stylistically, they just had the number of the guys from Flipside, and then in terms of individual performances, not really comparable.
And we'll be talking more about this kind of mismatch on towards Nuke. It's our next map, and I admittedly am a little bit like a child on Christmas Day. It's the first it has cropped up since its introduction to the map pool here at the Major. And I mean, we've only seen it play 15, 16 times since its actual introduction to the map pool in a competitive environment. It's going to be awesome to see just how far Nuke does go. We'll be talking about it after our break. When we do come back, Flipside will be fighting for survival versus defending world champions. Let me get that right, SK Gaming.